Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. It looks like I've got a couple of you who have popped on already. Looks like we got 6 people here. Sorry about the different time. I had a stamp class this morning, so I've been working this morning already. Happy Saturday to you too, Denise. I am so excited because today we are going to choose the winner of a bundle for all those who participated in my creative challenge from last week. So we had that creative challenge. I did that layout last week. We had this many people. Look at all these pieces of paper I have here with names to put in for a drawing. If you haven't taken a look at that, you should go back and you should take a look at the cards. Holy cow. Those of you that participated just hit it right out of the ballpark. There are so many awesome ideas. Hello, Kathy Miller. I have something for you, so I'm going to swing by your house sometime this weekend. And if you're not home, I'll just leave it on your porch. But I know you're heading off to Florida this week. I'm heading off in, let's see, almost a little less than 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, I will be sitting on a beach somewhere. So anyhow, we have winners. We have a live drawing to do. We have a new product that's coming out, or new products that are coming out on Tuesday that I want to make you aware of. And we're going to make a couple of cards. So I'm glad that you were able to join me a little bit later. I know this isn't the most ideal time unless you're stopping for your Saturday lunch or whatever and you want to put a video on while you're eating. But last week when I was doing my Happy Mail, I had something that my parents had given me for Valentine's Day on my desk, and there was a card underneath it as well, and I forgot to share both of the items with you. So this is a beautiful card that I received from Karen Karst. Isn't that pretty? And it was a thank you. She had thanked me for, I think I had given, she won my cards for making a comment. And so she was thanking me for the cards that she received. And last week I was freezing up a lot. And when I watched the video back, I think it was only once that I froze up on that video. So I'm going to keep going today. So if it looks like I'm freezing up, I'm going to keep going unless it tells me that I'm disconnected. Then I will worry about it. So thank you, Karen, for this beautiful card. Love, love, love that set. And then this is what I got from my parents for Valentine's Day. My mom always finds the coolest gifts, and I don't know if she's watching because they drove to Florida. They should probably be there. I'm guessing they're probably out grocery shopping, and then Mom will probably watch me later because they had a lot to do. But look at this beautiful. Isn't that beautiful? It's a heart. I haven't hung it up anywhere yet. I'm going to put it in my kitchen so that when the light comes through my kitchen, it just sparkles. And then this is kind of a joke, but not really. I love this. So in my family, anytime we get together, I have to bring the guacamole because everybody loves my guacamole. And I've shared my recipe with all of my siblings, but they still say you need to bring it because it doesn't taste as good when we make it. So this is called a guac lock. Let's see. There we go. A guac lock. And what it does is it's supposed to keep your guacamole from going brown. I don't know if it'll work. If it does, I'll let you know. I'm sure she probably got this at TJ Maxx because that's where she gets a lot of her things like this. So isn't that an awesome gift? So I had received that from my mom and dad. So that card got lost underneath the guac lock last week. So, all right, let's get to prizes right away. And I apologize. My mom goes, I can tell that you're doing your hair different because you keep touching it. I have a horrible cowlick, and so my hairstylist said, maybe if you try moving your hair over to the other side, maybe it's just gotten sick of going in that direction. So I moved it, and I cannot get used to it. And I'm staying with it because I know they say you can't just do it once, and so I keep trying it, and so I do find myself keep going like this. And she goes, "You're touching your hair all the time," and I'm like, I know, I have to get used to it, so I'll try not to. Okay, so for prizes from last week, for commenting and receiving, we made this cactus card. So this was our creative challenge, this fun fold. Okay, so we did that one, and we did the one with the daffodil paper. Okay, so you could either do it with just putting paper on the front, or you could stamp something if you wanted to. And you guys came up with such creative ideas. Oh my goodness, it was just awesome. Receiving this for commenting last week is Kay Wearer. So Kay, I will get this in the mail to you. I have your address in my database, so I will get this to you. And then for sharing, so if you hit that share button and share so that other people find out about me, you also get put into a drawing and receiving a pack of this highly coveted rainbow paper. Everybody loves, there's so many bright, sunny type papers in this is Mary Van Domelen. So Mary, I also have your address, so I will be sure to get this off in the mail to you this week as well. And then for placing an order, I wanted to remind you that Monday is the last day of celebration. Believe it or not, it is the last day of celebration. And so if you still wanted something, you can place an order. If you place it before Monday, you still get that product, that free product, if you place at least $50. And Tammy Markwart, you are going to be getting this Cactus Cuties because you placed an order from me this week. And I really, really appreciate that. I appreciate all of you that placed orders. Wanted to let you know, for those of you that have placed orders and I've contacted you and asked you to pick your square for my celebration board, I'm at 25 and I should be doing a drawing. However, I had like 2 people place orders for $50 afterwards, and they're not going to be able, I won't fill a whole nother board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until Sunday night. And then anyone who places an order on Sunday, before Sunday night, will still get a square, and I'll just give you the next square. And if it ends up being that I have, right now I'm at 27 people. If I'm at 29, then I'll have 1 through 29, and I'll pick there. And I'll come on Facebook and do that live, probably on Monday sometime, for those of you that have placed an order. Okay, are you ready for the big drawing? These are the people who participated in my creative challenge. And if I don't say your name, if you could do a comment and let me know. I did look at it probably about 20 minutes before I came on. Linda Keister, I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. Shanna Roberts, Sandy Calloway, Cheryl McClure, Julie Schlevy, Karen Roofing, Melanie Foy, Humphrey Aline, Amanda Shabo, Mary Van Domelen, Dia Splana, Diane Hermson, Karen Karst, Mary King, holy cow, there's a lot of people, Diane Van Grohl, Becky Weisky, and Mandy Horr, I pronounce Horr. So I'm sorry if I slaughtered your name. All right, I'm going to give you just a little bit. If anybody had posted it later and I did not get you, I'll look and see. I'll say hello to some of the people that have said hello. Barbara Geminer. Good morning, Barbara. And hello, Betty. And Margaret is on. And Kat. All of you are joining on this late time on a Saturday. I don't see anyone else popping up and telling me that I missed them. I think I am frozen. Nope, I think I'm back. I think I'm back. You may just have to refresh if you are on Facebook. Let me see if I'm still live. Let me see. I'm going to try to get mine up. I think I am still live. Let me just look here. It says I'm still live. I don't see myself on Facebook. I do see myself on YouTube. So I'm going to just keep going. All right. And so I'm going to go ahead and pick a name. I've mixed these up a lot. Sorry, ladies. Yep, I'm still live. Thanks, Melanie. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pick a name. And the winner, I'm not going to look. The winner is, I want to make sure I just have one, Karen Roofing. So Karen, you will need to let me know which bundle you would like to purchase, and I will get that sent out to you. I will probably ship it right to your house because I'm going to be leaving for Florida, and I want to make sure you get it before I leave for Florida. Thank you all. There, I think I'm back. Oh, goodness. Okay, I'm going to just keep going. The promotion or the new product that's coming out. The new product that's coming out are Waves of the Ocean. All right. And the Waves of the Ocean is, and I'll have some of the product here that I can show you because I actually have this product. It is a stamp set that I'll show you. Waves of Inspiration has these beautiful dies with that look like waves and this beautiful pelican. And then I'm going to show you this paper and the rhinestones because the pictures just don't do it a whole lot of justice. So I'm going to go ahead, flip my camera down. I need to get my keyboard out of the way. I'm going to turn my overhead light off because I have less shadows if I have an overhead light on. Okay, so our stamp set, Waves of Inspiration. Whoa, there's a little bit of a glare there. Looks like this. And I have one of the greetings out because we're going to use it today. And these are those dies. Is that not? Oh, look at those cool waves. I did not get a chance to play with this yet. I did cut some of the other stuff out, and I just absolutely love it. We are going to make a card today with the DSP, and next week we're going to make something with those dies. Then look at this glimmer paper, or not glimmer, metallic paper. There's a silver, and then a Pacific Point, and then I believe this is supposed to be a Coastal Cabana or a Bermuda Bay, one of those. Is that not gorgeous? Oh, you can see me in the reflection. All right, so that is beautiful paper that's going to look awesome with that stamp, with that die. And then, oh, there's more. Look at this designer paper. So this is the one we're using today. Okay, so there was this on this side. Okay, and then more watery waves looking. This is making me want to go to Florida right now. Look at that. Gorgeous. And then there's this that has some granny apple green in it. Also some Coastal Cabana with granny apple green. Look at the, oh, they're just so pretty as background papers. And then we've got this blue. And this has a little bit of Calypso coral in it. And then look at the little, looks like almost little bubbles in there. And the yellow. So just gorgeous paper that I cannot wait to do more things with. And like I said, my card next week, I'm going to use the dies. Today I just wanted to give us a little taste of what you could do with this paper. Kind of take a look at the dies a little bit, some of those label dies. And so we are going to do a card using the Waves of Inspiration stamp set. And we are going to use Pacific Point, which is a color that I absolutely love. But I'm going to be honest with you, I don't use it as much as I should because there aren't always a lot of papers or designer papers that have it. And so I don't always remember to use it. I'm going to use this for my flap of my envelope. Okay, so our card base is going to be Pacific Point. And this measures 8.5 by 5.5. And I scored it at 4 1/4. All right, so that's our card base. This is Coastal Cabana. And this is actually our bark 3D embossing folder. However, I felt that it kind of went along with the whole waves theme. I was going to stamp that background stamp that looked like water. And then I thought, you know what, instead of putting a stamp on here, I think I want some texture. So I did the bark just kind of to see what it looks like, and I liked how it looked. You could also do something like the seashell one that we have. Anything that would make it look a little bit more nautical, I guess. Then we have another piece of Pacific Point. This is 1 7/8 inches wide by 5 1/4 inches long. And then I used this DSP, which had the Coastal Cabana and then a little bit of that Pacific Point in it. And this measures 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. And then We also need a scrap, which it doesn't look like I threw one in here, but I will get one. I have a scrap of Pacific Point that I can grab. I also cut a tiny little strip of it to bring to the inside of my card. And then I did a basic white 4x5 1/4 for the inside. All right, let's go ahead and start with our stamping. So I am going to be using this You're So Totally Awesome. And I have to get a scrap here. I'm going to cut a scrap. I don't have one that's real tiny. And I apologize. I'm going to have to run to my kitchen because I left the white embossing powder there from my card class. All right, I am back. That was quick. I just had to find the bucket that it was in. It's what happens when you have a class on the day you're also doing a Facebook Live and you're using the same things. All right, I am going to be using some of our Versamark, and I'm going to stamp that You're So Totally Awesome. And I'm going to cover this up because I will otherwise put my powder right inside of there. And my spoon got a little bit buried. So I'll just run some of that over the top. And my heat tool is in the other room, but through the magic of TV, I have heated it already. I'll heat this one later to make another one. And I have cut it out using one of the dies from the die set that matches this, which I thought this was very, very unique. All right, that's all we're going to be doing. Whoa, I must have had some powder in there. Just a second, ladies and gentlemen, if we have any watching, I'm going to go ahead and get this powder. I have a pull-out garbage can right next to me. There we go. All right, much better. Sorry about that. I'll get my dimensions here. All right, we're going to go ahead and put this card together. So I am going to layer the Designer Series paper onto that little strip of Pacific Point. And all right, and then I am going to add it just to the left-hand side here a little bit of that Coastal Cabana. Now I am just a little bit longer, and that drives me crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and trim off just that little bit of excess. I oftentimes tend to cut some of those layers a little bit longer because I can always trim a little off. I can't add a little more paper. Okay, so I can trim it off if I need to, but I wouldn't be able to add it if it didn't come all the way to the bottom. So that's why I sometimes, hello Karen Wetstein, I sometimes will make those layers just a little bit longer. This card is going to go together really, really fast, but look at how pretty, wow, that paper is together. Oh, I just love that. This little piece is going to go along the bottom. Now, I did throw another stamp set in here because there are a lot of things that you could, look at this, Seize the Day. There are these little fish that you could bring in there. And in fact, I did stamp a couple of those because as I was doing this, I'm like, oh, I feel like I need more on this card. So then I was going to stamp a fish on the inside. I was going to put a fish on the outside. I'll maybe show you some of these at the end. I have a whole bunch of little goodies inside of my envelope there that I didn't bring out. But I decided that I just didn't know what I was going to use this for because You're So Totally Awesome could be a thank you. It could be a congratulations. It could be really a birthday, just telling someone that they're awesome on their birthday. And so I didn't want to, excuse me, make this to be just, putting it that it had to be a certain type of card. So I just left it blank on the inside. And I'm doing that more and more when I'm making cards because sometimes I'm not making them for a particular purpose. I'm making them just to have them on hand. And so, yes, Mandy, those dies are really cool. I really like them. There's another one in there too that's really, really cool. All right, so you could put some ribbon through this. I was playing around with that a little bit, and I didn't really like with this paper running the ribbon through it, but you could easily run the ribbon through the back and have it come up both ends, tie a bow on one end. Excuse me. The ribbon that I wanted to use is this, I don't even know what it's called. It's just called sheer ribbon, okay? And I don't even know if it's Pool Party or Coastal Cabana, but it's a blue that you can hardly even tell. There's just a hint of blue to it because it's so sheer. So what I decided I wanted to do was just put this greeting. I don't know where my big, oh, there they are. I do have some big, just discombobulated a little bit today, ladies. I'm not used to working so hard in the morning before I do a Facebook Live. I'm used to having all morning to just kind of relax, get ready, and then go live at 9 o'clock. And because I'm an early riser. And but with having to work and having people over here and, whew, goodness. All right, I'm just going to put that on there. And make sure you put your glue all the way to the edge. It doesn't look like I did that here. I'm just going to stick a little bit of glue in here. With that embossing, the embossing folder is super, super cool, but it will pull up a little bit. So you want to make sure your glue goes all the way out to the edge. Okay, it'll start to come up. And you kind of got to press it a little bit because it's got all those little indentations that the glue can get stuck in. So you just have to make sure that it sticks to your card too. All right, so I had this ribbon and I was like, I think I'm just going to tie a bow. And I really liked that little hole that was kind of over on the side. That kind of intrigued me a little bit. I'm like, that's kind of cool. What can I do with that with my ribbon besides, you know, running the ribbon underneath? And so I decided I just wanted to make a bow. And I thought I could just put that bow, just tie it a little bit tighter because I'm afraid it's going to come apart. I like having the knot look a little bit bigger, but then I'm always afraid it's not going to stay together, so now I've got to trim a little bit more. And I thought I'm just going to put that right in there and let those tails just kind of, even though the bow is sideways, I thought that added just a little bit of intrigue to it a little bit, so it wasn't just your normal bow up in the corner. So I decided to just do this sideways. And I have to grab some glue dot or at my other workstation. Like I said, I'm completely like discombobulated a little bit, but I'm here. I promised you I'd be here, and I am here. Actually, I think I'm going to put this on that blue there so you can still see that hole a little bit, but there's just a little bit, and that's so faint, and I might even trim this a little bit more. Okay, then ladies, I was like, okay, this card needs something. I love, love, love the rhinestones that came with it, but I wanted to play around a little bit. And I'm only showing you this because sometimes cards don't just come right together for me either. So in that stamp set are these clouds, and I'm going to try to bring this up a little bit and hopefully it stays in focus. Not real good, but there we go. There's like a solid piece, and then there's a detailed piece that you glue over the top to give it a little more dimension. And then there's a little one like this. Okay, and you can kind of see maybe, there we go. You can kind of see the dimension a little bit in there. So one of my thoughts was, oh, I can add a few clouds up here. But then my thought was, it's not really a beach scene. It's not really an outdoor scene. So maybe that won't work. Well, maybe if I add some of these birds that are cut out in that foil paper, okay, so they look like a bird, I can make it look more like an outdoor scene, even though it really doesn't have any stamps other than the papers kind of look like that. And then I thought about that, and then I went to my Seize the Day, and I stamped a fish and Pacific Point. And I was like, maybe I need to put a little fish somewhere. And then I didn't know what to do, and I'm like, it's kind of getting busy. I don't know if I want all of this stuff in here. So in the end, what I did was I'm keeping all of this to use on another card, but I just thought for this card, I wanted to keep it simple. And when I use that big both, looks like I might be back up again. I think I'm back up again. Yep, I'm back up again. Okay, good. I don't know why I'm freezing. Sorry about that, ladies. But I decided that these really, really pretty gems would be enough for that card. I have one open. Okay, so I am going to take a couple of the different shades of blue. There are 1, 2, 3 shades of blue and a shade of that looks a little more green. And I am going to pop a couple of these. I'm going to take the darker ones and pop them up here. And then take one of the lighter ones, and that looks more like Coastal Cabana, and put it down there. And I thought, now no matter what I decide to use this card for, I don't have to worry about it being a certain theme or anything like that. I could give this to, well, the bow isn't too bad, but you could give this to a guy, you could give this to a woman, you could give it almost to anyone and just stamp an image or something on the inside. If I feel like it needs to be upped a little bit, I could go back and try some of these things on there. But as I was playing last night, yes, I waited till the last minute to do this. I was getting ready for a card buffet today, and I had 15 people who participated, so that's 120 cards that I had to cut and stuff during the week, and so I waited till the last minute. And when I was playing around with this, I'm like, I think I just like it simple. So I ended up with the very simple. All right, there was the other one. So every card's going to look a little bit different because it's going to have that blue going through it in different locations. All right, so that is my card number 1, just giving you a little bit of an introduction to our Waves of Inspiration stamp set and the dies, the labels at least. And next week we will look at those big waves along with that the designer series paper that's a little more bold. And I'm going to start a little bit earlier next week so that I can play with it a little bit and we can come up with something that has some of that paper in, has some of those clouds in, has some of the waves in. Oh, and I love that pelican as well. So we'll try to get a combination of things into a card next week so you can see this just a little bit better. Just so you know, this stamp set and the dies will be in the next annual catalog. From what I understand, if I remember correctly, and there's other demonstrators on here, correct me if I'm wrong, but the rhinestones and the paper will not be in the new catalog. That's just a special promotion until May 2nd or while supplies last, but the stamp set and the dies will be in the next annual catalog. If I'm wrong on that, somebody correct me, but I thought I read that. I can't keep up with absolutely everything, but I thought I read that somewhere. Okay, we are going to do a second card, which is a layout, and as I was trying to prepare what I was going to do for this card, May is when we get our new catalog. And with the new catalog means that we have an old catalog, some things that are retiring. We don't know what that retirement is yet because that comes out in April. But we do know that our in colors are going to be going away most likely, unless they do a color revamp, which I don't know if they'll do that or not. So we are going to do a card that features 2 of our in colors. And one of the gems in the catalog that I think gets missed a little bit is this beautiful stamp set that's called Wildflower Path. It has a really cool saying here. It has happy birthday, thank you. The thank you and my heart is smiling because of you could go together. The happy birthday and do not go where the path may lead, go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. You could also use that for like a graduation or somebody who's starting a new job. But this just has different greens and flowers that you can add to them. So you can just add them to some of these stems that are hanging out. It has some tall grass, anything you would find like where you find wildflowers, a path of wildflowers. And so I'm going to be using this stamp set, and we are going to be using Just Jade and Magenta Madness as our two colors that are going to be retiring. They are in colors that will be done and will not be in the next catalog that I know of. Okay, I got a few things in there. All right, we are going to start with a base that is thick basic white. And again, this measures 5.5 by 8.5. It's scored at 4 1/4. Now you don't always have to score at 4 1/4 when it's regular cardstock, but with this thick cardstock, I always like to score it, then line it up and make sure with your bone folder. So now that I have this lined up, I want to make sure that my corners are in, and then I just kind of force making sure that it's folded right in half. Okay, yes, Kathy, I didn't get this stamp set in my very first order, and then I was seeing some things, and I'm like, I need to have that. Okay, then we have some Just Jade, and this measures 2 1/8 by 5 1/4, and I ran this through one of our embossing folders that is in the January to June catalog. It comes with stripes, and I've used the stripes before, I think, on here. And this is the splatters. Okay, so there's all different splatters. Now, there were a couple of other embossing folders that I picked out that I thought I would try. I did have the Meadow one, which is another one that's a smaller one. I also had grabbed the It's a Floral one. It's all little floral images. But I really liked this, just the little splatters like that in the background. All right, and then we have 3 strips of Magenta Madness. Each of these measure 3 3/8 inches long by 1 3/8 inches wide. So I've got 3 strips of that. I also have something for my greeting, and this one is 7/8 inch wide, and then it's 2 5/8 inches long. And then I gave myself 2 of these basic whites that are 2.5 by 3/4 inches, just in case I don't stamp it straight the first 2 tries. I've got 2 more tries, so I've got 4 tries to get it right. And then this is our basic white, and it measures 3 3/4 by 3 1/4. We're going to stamp on here, and then after we stamp on here, we're going to cut it into 3 1 1/4 inch strips for our card. Now, this layout could be used with designer series paper, or it could be used how I'm doing it right now. I'm going to make an image on here. I'm going to kind of make my own designer paper, and then I'm going to cut it into some strips, into some little panels. Okay, I'm going to set this aside for right now, and I'm going to bring our stamps in, and there's a bunch of them. I'm going to use this little bee later. Set this over here. I'm definitely going to be using, this is one of our piercing mats, and it's well loved. Look at, you can tell I stamped on here last night when I was making this. It is very well loved. But whenever I have a photopolymer stamp set, and especially if it's a little bit bigger, I like to stamp on this, and I cover it with paper so that I can like practice stamping on it. I can also, if I'm going to go over the side of my paper, it kind of doesn't get my mat full of ink. Okay, so this is just a piercing mat, and it's just typing paper that I wrapped around it. All right, and we're going to be using, like I said, Just Jade, and we're going to be using Magenta Madness, and then I have a little memento for our greeting. I'm going to start with the Just Jade. Now, we're going to start by just putting some grass along the bottom of, and I'm going to stand up while I'm stamping. I have better luck. I'm just going to be, and I don't want all of the grass. I'm going to start over already. I didn't like that little whiteness that was in there. There we go. And I do overlap it a little bit, and you can make some longer, some taller. And I just wanted that along the bottom because that's what a meadow of wildflowers or a little path of wildflowers looks like, right? Then there are two different stems. I'm just using one for this card, but you could mix and match and put different colors in. But because I decided just to focus on those two colors, I decided I wanted to just use the one. And I'm gonna make sure I go down straight and just hold it a little for the ink to go in. Don't rock it, but rather just hold it straight. Let that ink soak into the paper. And I'm just going at a bunch of different heights here. The flowers are going to overlap a little bit, and that's okay because that's what you see is you see flowers all over when you're looking at a path of wildflowers. I think that should be good. All right, I'm going to close up my Just Jade because I'm done with that. And I'm going to bring in my Magenta Madness. Now, there are two stamps. There is one that has a fuller flower, and luckily they are stained a little bit from me using them. This one is a little bit fuller, and then this one is a little bit smaller. I'm going to use Magenta Madness for both of them, but for the background one, I'm going to stamp off once, and then for the other one, I'm going to do full strength. There is a little piece in here that I noticed could sometimes get ink on it, so you just want to watch that, and when I stamp off, I kind of look. I didn't see that in there, and I'm just going to be real careful when I lay this down, and I'm going to line these flowers up on here, on that stem, and on this stem down here. So I'm going to go ahead, just kind of eyeball it. There we go. I need it to be a little bit more sideways. Okay, it looks pretty good. I'm going to do that again. Ink it up, stamp off, line it up. All right, and then I'm going to get it. Notice how these are kind of down here in the grass. That's okay. They're coming from the little stem that's coming up there. And they're overlapping. Okay, I'm done with that one, and now I'm going to take my next one, which is going to give this, I don't know, make the flowers look more real or give it more dimension almost because of the two different colors that are in it. Look at that. You see that? How that looks really cool there. All right, and I used the same color for both of them. I just stamped off for one and did not for the other. This is so fun to play with. And like I said, there are two different stems. You could use another stem. There are 3 different types of flowers. Oh, and it looks like I got a little bit of pink in here before. I didn't see that. Can you see that? Got some pink on the side. I am going to try to see if I can get some of that out. Otherwise, I'm just going to leave it, I think, for today. That's how we know that it's homemade, right? Not completely perfect. I could go back and I could stamp on this side, but instead of having you wait to do that, for me to do that, I am just going to leave that for now. If I need to, I can make one later that is a little bit better. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my trimmer in now. I'm going to take and I'm going to cut this into 1 1/4 inch strips. So there's 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, and I'm going to set them over here so that I keep them together. I want them to stay in the order that I stamped them. Okay, I want that to be together. I forgot to do my greeting, so let me bring this in here. I have to go back to my stamps and grab my greeting, and I'm going to do that in black, memento. Whoa, there's the little flower that I need. I wondered where that went. It was stuck. Look at that. I didn't even need 4 tries. I got it in the first one. Better than my little thing over there. But that is okay. I can live with that. All right, let's go ahead and start putting this together. So I am going to put each of these pieces on a panel of magenta, that Magenta Madness. So this is just 1/8 of an inch bigger on each side. So it's a 1/16 of an inch really on each side. And again, I want to keep them in order so that I don't have to figure out how to match them up again. And you could do this with designer series paper. You would not have to stamp something. You could take a designer series paper that measures 3 3/4 by 3 1/4, and you could cut it into 1 1/4 inch strips and just attach it to a color that's in the deep. Let me stamp my inside greeting. I am just like losing it here, I think, because my mind just isn't with it today. I don't know what that is. Later in the day, I guess. I guess I'm sharper earlier in the morning. Let's set this over here. Do not want to get that. I'm going to stamp this a little bit off to the right. Completely forgot that I was going to bring these flowers back in here again. And we are going to stamp one of these on the inside. I'm going to be careful because one of my ink pads obviously has some pink. So I want to make sure that I go down straight, and I really don't see any pink on the side of this one. You're probably going, this is where you got it from, Sarah. Don't do that again. Okay, so there's that one, and then we've got our little one. Oh, here's where I got some ink. Let me just, there we go. I think I got it off now. Okay, so we got a little flower on the inside as well. Isn't that a cool saying? I just love that. This is one of my favorite sets. Okay, now I can get the stamps out of here. You're probably going, she's so disorganized today. I really am. We're just going to set this down. If you wanted to, you could add some ribbon. I didn't feel like it really needed ribbon. Instead, I'm going to use this little bee here because don't you find bees where you have flowers all the time? I know I do. I'm going to cut some of these dimensionals at the end of a sheet here. So I'm just going to throw some dimensionals on the top and on the bottom of each of these. I'm going to keep them in the order so don't mess up that order. And the bottom. Anyone else heading out? I know Kathy Miller's going to Florida along with me. Anyone else heading anywhere nice and warm or heading somewhere to go skiing or doing anything like that? All right, and I'm going to layer that on there. All right, what we want to do is we want to dry fit this. So I want to set it on here. And normally I say I start with the middle, but in this case I wanted to start with, once I figure out where I wanted, how far apart I wanted these, I kind of start with the ends and I try to keep about the same amount of green showing on, or that just jade showing on each end. So I'm going to leave that middle one there, and I'm going to take my backings off of my dimensionals, and I'm going to set that down. And then I'm going to take this other end, because as long as I have my middle one lined up top and bottom, I'm going to try to look and use about that much green on the other side as well. But I know I can match up the middle one top to bottom. And then the last one. Now, I've also seen cards where they will do one of them longer than the other one. Okay, so you could do, especially if you go this way, you could have two shorter ones and then a longer one instead of having them all the same length. But there, I made that image and I just cut it into little pieces. And now I'm going to put that happy birthday across the top. And I'm going to have it go off to the side, not smack dab in the center, just a little bit. So I'm going to put just a dab of glue on this end and a little bit more on that end. And I can kind of hide a little bit of my mistake. I go down a little bit further. There we go. There we go. Just go down a little bit further and cover up some of that. So now I just have that little bit of a mistake there, which isn't too bad. All right, I have this little bee, this little trinket that came in, and like I said, don't you always see, since my happy birthday is a little bit further off to the right, I'm just going to kind of set this going into one of these flowers here. And then we have these little flowers as well. I'm going to cover my Memento ink. Forgot to do that before. All right. I'm going to put a little glue dot, and this glue dot I'm going to take and, oops, I'm going to roll it up a little bit. I'm going to roll it kind of on top of each itself to make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to press it in the corner there. And this is actually polished pink and not magenta, but because we had stamped off that magenta madness, it kind of looks about the same color as that polished pink. You really could have used polished pink if you wanted to. I just decided to use the same color and just stamp off. So there's our happy birthday, and then the beautiful greeting on the inside along with the flower on the inside. So a different layout that you can use that's pretty easy to use. And you could use, like I said, you could use it with designer series paper, you could use it with a stamped image. Let's bring, oh, you're probably saying, she's going to get those stamps out again? I am going to get those stamps out again. I was going to do and you know what? I never put any grass on the inside. We're going to stamp a little grass on the inside while I have it out anyway. So here's my grass. And we're just going to stamp a little bit of that in there. There we go. Maybe we'll have it go all the way to the end. There. All right, and I'm going to do the same thing on my envelope. We're just going to do a little flower. There we go, and we'll do our stem. Watch, I'll mess this up. So far, so good. This goes faster if you do this all at the same time, but I'm like having like, ooh, forgot about that. That looks pretty good. And then the little one. There, now we've got a pretty envelope to go with our pretty card, which I set over here. And then we also have a little bit of a sneak peek into what's coming with this Waves of Inspiration. Or I think it's called, the whole suite is called Waves of the Ocean. So fun cards, easy cards to do, nothing real difficult. You don't even need, other than this embossing and this cutting of this tag, you really don't need, to have a cut and emboss machine. You could do this just plain. You wouldn't have to. You could do this with a punch if you wanted to. If you're someone who's just getting started and don't have a whole lot of supplies, there are a lot of ways that you could change that up a little bit for yourself. All right, let me come back to you. Oh, there I am. I have my light off now. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon or watching me on the replay. I know this isn't the best time of day on a Saturday afternoon to be doing this, but I appreciate those of you who hopped on. I will be back here at my normal time of 9 o'clock next week, Saturday. I will be using that Waves of Inspiration. I've already decided on that. I don't know if I'll do 2 cards with that or if I'll do that and I'll find something else. I haven't used that gumball machine yet, but I don't know if doing 2 things that are bigger like that, if that would be too difficult. So we'll kind of see what the week brings. But thank you so much for joining me. Thanks to all of you who participated in the Creative Challenge. Make sure you go back and look at all those cards. They are absolutely beautiful. So thank you so much. Reminder that if you place an order by Sunday night, you will still get into my drawing. I will do the drawing on Monday for the person who has the shopping spree for placing $50 orders. And I think that's all I have. Thank you so much. Have an enjoyable Saturday and the rest of your weekend, and I will see you back here next week. Thanks again, ladies.